I watched my wife raise a glass to the man she'd been sleeping with and call me an embarrassment in front of 200 people. Then I stood up, walked to the microphone, and told every single person in that room who actually owned the restaurant chain they worked for. What happened after that night didn't just end my marriage. It unraveled a conspiracy that had been growing right under my nose for over a decade. My name is Marcus Cole. I'm 47 years old, and for the past 22 years I've built one of the most successful restaurant groups on the East Coast. But to everyone at the grand opening of our newest location in Austin, Texas, I was just the quiet guy in the kitchen. The cook who somehow married up. My wife Diana had insisted I stay home. It's a corporate event, Marcus, investors, board members, press. You'd be bored out of your mind. She said it sweetly, the way she always did when she wanted me gone. But something had been off for months. Late nights, whispered phone calls, the way she'd angle her screen away when I walked into the room. So instead of staying home, I drove to the venue early, parked in the back lot, walked in through the kitchen entrance like I'd done 1,000 times at our other locations. Nobody questioned a guy in a plain button-down moving through the kitchen. They assumed I was a supplier or maybe a health inspector running early. I found a spot near the service hallway where I could see the main dining room without being noticed. The place looked incredible. Edison bulbs, exposed brick, an open kitchen concept I'd designed myself 3 years ago on a napkin at our dining room table. Diana had taken credit for the aesthetic in every interview since. I didn't mind. I never minded. Around 7:30, Nathan Mercer took the stage. 53, ex-finance guy, the kind of man who wore confidence like cologne. Heavy and impossible to ignore. He was the CEO of Cole Hospitality Group, though he had no idea I was the one who'd hired him through a series of holding companies and silent partnerships. Nobody did. That was the point. Ladies and gentlemen, Nathan began, adjusting his lapel mic. Tonight we celebrate not just a new restaurant, but the woman who made it possible. Diana Cole, our Senior Vice President of Operations. Applause. Diana stepped forward in a black dress I'd never seen before. She was glowing. Diana has been the heartbeat of this company for 9 years, Nathan continued. She's tripled our catering revenue, led the expansion into Texas, and done it all while managing what I can only describe as a challenging home situation. My chest tightened. You see, Diana's husband is a line cook. Sweet guy. Makes a great steak apparently, but let's just say he's not exactly keeping up with her intellectually or professionally. Nathan grinned. Or in any other way, from what I hear. Laughter. Not nervous laughter. Real, full-throated amusement. These people found it genuinely funny that my wife was married to someone beneath her. Diana took the microphone. Nathan, you're awful, she said, laughing. But honestly, he's not wrong. I come home from closing a 7-figure deal, and Marcus wants to tell me about a new sauce he's experimenting with. It's like living with a golden retriever. Loyal, sweet. But you can't exactly have a conversation about growth strategy. More laughter. Someone near the bar actually clapped. I stepped out of the hallway. The room didn't notice me at first. I was just some guy in a button-down walking toward the stage. A few heads turned. Then a few more. Diana saw me when I was about 15 feet away. Her smile collapsed. I climbed the 2 steps to the platform, gently took the microphone from her hand, and faced the room. Hi. I'm Marcus Cole, the line cook, the golden retriever. I paused. Let the silence do its work. I'm also the founder and sole owner of Cole Hospitality Group. Every restaurant, every lease, every trademark, every share. It's mine. Has been since I started it in a food truck 22 years ago. Dead silence. Nathan here, I gestured toward him, works for me. So does everyone in this room, including my wife. I set the microphone on the podium and walked off the stage. Behind me, I heard Nathan stammering something about a misunderstanding. Heard Diana call my name, her voice cracking. I didn't stop, pushed through the front doors into the warm Texas night, got in my truck, and drove. I didn't go to the hotel. Couldn't stomach the idea of lying in the bed Diana and I were supposed to share that night, staring at her suitcase, smelling her shampoo on the pillow. Instead, I pulled onto I-35 heading north with no destination. Just motion. Just distance. My phone lit up around 9. Diana. Then again. Then a number I didn't recognize. Probably a reporter. Then my brother James. I answered James on the fourth ring. Marcus, what the hell happened? Someone just sent me a video of you at some restaurant telling everyone you own the company. Is that real? It's real. Jesus. Where are you? Driving. Somewhere north of Austin. Come to my place. Sarah's got the guest room ready. Don't do anything stupid tonight. James lived in Round Rock, about 40 minutes north. He and his wife Sarah had been my anchor for years. The only people who knew the full truth about my ownership of Cole Hospitality. I'd asked them to keep the secret, and they had, even when it cost them. Sarah once had to sit through an entire Thanksgiving dinner listening to Diana complain about how Marcus would never amount to more than a kitchen worker. Sarah bit her tongue so hard it nearly bled. I pulled into their driveway around 10:15. James was on the porch with 2 beers. You look terrible, he said. Feel worse. We sat in silence for a while. Crickets and distant highway noise. Finally, James said, you know this is going to be everywhere by morning. I know. And the kids? That hit me like a physical blow. Our son Ethan was 17. Our daughter Lily was 15. Then there were the younger 2, Noah, who was 8, and Sophie, who was 6. They thought their dad was a cook at a restaurant. Thought we lived in our modest house in Cedar Park because that's what we could afford. They had no idea their father controlled a hospitality empire worth north of $200 million. I'll talk to them tomorrow, I said. Before they see it online. Too late for that, probably. He was right. By midnight, the video had 100,000 views. By morning, it would be everywhere. I didn't sleep. Sat up in James's guest room going through my phone. Diana had sent 41 text messages ranging from please come back, let me explain to, you've ruined everything, I hope you're happy to. The kids are asking where you are. How could you do this to them? That last one almost worked. Almost made me feel guilty. Then I remembered the sound of 200 people laughing at me while my wife smiled. I texted back one message. I'll come by the house tomorrow afternoon. Have the kids there. Don't contact me again tonight. Then I turned off my phone. Around 6 in the morning, Sarah made coffee and set a plate of eggs in front of me without asking if I was hungry. Eat, she said. Then we figure this out. James sat across from me with his laptop. Okay. The video has 400,000 views. Local news picked it up. Business Insider is running a piece about Cole Hospitality's ownership structure. Your phone is going to be a war zone. I turned it on. 97 missed calls. Over 300 texts. Email was a disaster. Most of it was media requests and messages from business associates who just learned that the quiet guy married to their SVP was actually their boss. But 3 voicemails from Ethan stopped me cold. Dad, where are you? Mom's freaking out. There's this video online. What's going on? Call me. Dad, seriously. Is this real? Do you actually own the company? Why didn't you tell us? Dad, please just call me. I need to talk to you. I called him immediately. He picked up before the first ring finished. Dad. Hey, buddy. I'm sorry you found out this way. Is it true? All of it? Yes. A long pause. So you've been lying to us, our whole lives. I kept a secret. I thought I was protecting you kids. I wanted you to grow up understanding hard work, not thinking you were entitled to everything because your dad had money. My father grew up rich, and it made him cold and disconnected. I didn't want that for you. That wasn't your choice to make. Ethan's voice was quiet but firm. We're not babies, Dad. Lily and I could have handled it. And now we had to find out from TikTok that our father's been living a double life. I know. And I'm sorry. Can you get everyone together this afternoon? I want to talk to all of you. In person. Mom says you humiliated her on purpose. Says you were jealous because she's more successful than you. That's not what happened. I'll explain everything. 2 o'clock at the house. Can you make that work? Yeah. We'll be there. I spent the next few hours at James's kitchen table planning what I'd say to my kids. How do you tell your children that the life they thought they knew was built on a secret? That their mother wasn't who they thought she was? That their father had lied by omission for their entire existence? Sarah sat with me. Don't tell them about the affair yet, she said. One earthquake at a time. They'll find out eventually. Then let eventually be next week. Today they need to understand the ownership secret. That's enough for one day. She was right. Sarah usually was. I drove back to Cedar Park at 1:30. The house looked exactly the same. Ranch style, neat yard, bikes in the garage. I'd paid cash for it 10 years ago, but Diana thought we had a mortgage. Another layer of the lie I'd built to keep us grounded. Diana's car was in the driveway. I walked in through the front door. The house smelled like the lavender candles she always burned. Photos of our family lined the hallway. Beach trips, birthday parties, Christmas mornings. All those moments I thought were genuine. Diana was in the living room with all 4 kids. She looked like she hadn't slept. Mascara smudged, hair pulled back in a messy knot. She glared at me. The lawyer said we shouldn't be in the same room without Downey. This isn't about us, I said. This is about them. I sat down across from my children. Ethan, serious and watchful. Lily, arms crossed, already defensive. Noah and Sophie, too young to fully understand but old enough to know something was very wrong. I owe you all an apology, I began. For the past 22 years, I've been keeping a secret from this family. I'm not just a cook. I'm the founder and owner of Cole Hospitality Group. The restaurants, the catering division, the new locations opening in Texas and Florida, all of it is mine. Noah's eyes went wide. You own restaurants? Like, a lot of restaurants? 37 of them, buddy. Then why do we live here? Lily's voice was sharp. Why do I share a room with Sophie? Why did you tell me we couldn't afford dance camp last summer? Because I wanted you to grow up valuing things, not taking them for granted. That's such garbage, Dad. Lily stood up. You didn't trust us. You decided we'd turn into spoiled brats if we knew the truth, so you just lied instead. For our entire lives. Lily. No. You don't get to Lily me right now. I have been wearing secondhand clothes to school while my father apparently has $200 million. Do you know how that feels? Ethan put a hand on her arm. Sit down, Lil. Let him finish. She sat, but her jaw was tight. You're right to be angry, I said. All of you. I made a choice that I thought was protecting you, and it wasn't fair. I see that now. What about Mom? Ethan asked, looking at Diana. Did she know? Diana opened her mouth, then closed it. I watched her calculate. Your mother knew we were comfortable, I said carefully. But the full extent of what I owned? No. She didn't know until recently. That was partially true. Diana had known I had some money. She didn't know the scale. But what she did know, what I wasn't ready to tell the kids yet, was that she'd spent the last 12 years working at my company, while sleeping with the CEO and helping him siphon money into accounts I was only now discovering. That afternoon I told the kids what they needed to hear. Answered their questions, absorbed their anger, promised to do better. It was the hardest 2 hours of my life, but when I left, Ethan walked me to my truck and said, I'm still mad. But I'm glad you told us. That was enough. For now. 3 days later, I sat in the office of a private investigator named Gloria Reeves in downtown Austin. She spread a folder across her desk. Your wife and Nathan Mercer have been meeting at the Driscoll Hotel every Wednesday afternoon for the past 12 years, Gloria said. Always the same suite, always booked under a fake name, always paid with a corporate card that routes through a subsidiary account. 12 years. Not 3, not 5. 12 years of betrayal. Noah was 8, Sophie was 6. The timeline hit me like a truck. There's a financial component, Gloria continued. She pulled out bank statements. Nathan has been diverting funds from Cole Hospitality's event planning budget into a shell company, registered in Delaware. The shell company then transfers to an offshore account. The amounts are small enough individually, $8,000 to $10,000 per month, spread across multiple budget lines so no single transaction triggers an audit flag. Over 12 years. She let me do the math. That's over $1 million. 1.2 million. Approximately. The offshore account is in your wife's name. I sat back. The affair was devastating. But systematic theft from my company over more than a decade? That was something else entirely. There's more, Gloria said. I found internal communications between Diana and Nathan discussing a restructuring plan for Cole Hospitality. They've been placing people loyal to them in key positions for years. Kitchen managers, regional directors, the head of HR. They've built a network inside your company. They were trying to take over. or at least position themselves to control operations without you. Nathan as CEO with unchecked authority, Diana as SVP with a loyal team beneath her. If they'd succeeded, they could have made decisions that benefited them personally, while your ownership became purely nominal. I thought about Marco Reeves, Diana's younger brother, who'd been working as a general manager at our flagship location in Houston. Good guy. Hard worker. Did he know? Look into Marco Reeves, I said. Diana's brother. Manages our Houston location. I'll have something by Friday. One more thing. My voice was steady, but my hands weren't. I need paternity tests for all 4 kids. Gloria's expression shifted. You think? Noah is 8. Sophie is 6. Diana and Nathan have been together 12 years. I need to know. I'll arrange discreet collection kits. Results in 5 to 7 business days. I left her office and sat in my truck for 20 minutes staring at nothing. If Nathan Mercer was the biological father of my younger children, if I'd spent 8 years reading bedtime stories and coaching Little League and holding them when they were scared, all while being someone else's father in name only. I couldn't finish the thought. 4 days later, Marco showed up at James's house unannounced. He looked wrecked. Hadn't shaved, eyes bloodshot, still wearing his GM polo like he'd driven straight from the restaurant. Marcus. I'm sorry. I should have said something years ago. We sat in James's living room. Marco told me everything. Diana brought me into the company 8 years ago, he said. Told me she wanted family she could trust in key positions. I thought she was just being a good sister. Took me about 2 years to figure out something was off. She kept asking me to report on employee complaints, operational issues, anything that could justify staffing changes. I didn't understand why until I saw her and Nathan together at a hotel bar in Dallas. I wasn't supposed to be there. I was visiting a friend. You confronted her? Yeah. She told me if I said anything, she'd make sure I was fired and blacklisted in the industry. Said she had documentation that could make it look like I'd been skimming from the Houston location. Fabricated, but convincing. Your own sister blackmailed you. Marco's voice cracked. She's not the same person I grew up with. The money, the power, Nathan. She became someone I don't recognize. She told me once that she was tired of pretending to be middle class. That she deserved the life she was building, even if she had to take it from you. Did she ever say anything about the kids? About Noah and Sophie? Marco went pale. Why are you asking that? Because I need to know. Long silence. About 6 years ago, when Diana was pregnant with Sophie, she made a comment. Said there had been complications and she wasn't sure how things would turn out. At the time I thought she meant medically. But after I found out about Nathan, I started wondering. Wondering what? If the complications she meant weren't medical at all. The DNA results arrived on a Thursday morning. I was alone in James's guest room. Sarah and James were both at work. I opened the email, read it once, then read it again. Ethan. 99.9% probability of paternity. Mine. Lily. 99.9% probability of paternity. Mine. Noah. 0% probability of paternity. Not mine. Sophie. 0% probability of paternity. Not mine. I read those numbers until they stopped looking like numbers and started looking like the wreckage of everything I believed about my family. 8 years of being Noah's dad, 6 years of being Sophie's. Gone in 4 lines of text. James found me that evening still sitting in the same chair, laptop open, screen dimmed. Marcus. What happened? I turned the screen toward him. Watched his face. Oh God, he whispered. Marcus, I'm so sorry. I have to tell them. Are you sure? This will. They deserve the truth. All of them. And if I don't tell them, Diana will control the narrative. She'll tell it her way, on her terms, and the kids will never get the real story. I called Ethan. Family meeting. Tomorrow at the house. Everyone, including your mother. Dad. What's going on? I'll explain tomorrow. Just get everyone there. The next afternoon, I walked into my house for the second time since the grand opening. Diana was on the couch. The kids were scattered around the living room. The tension was suffocating. What is this about, Marcus? Diana's voice was icy. My attorney said, sit down and listen. My voice was calm. Cold. I'd spent all night rehearsing this moment, figuring out how to say the unsayable. I had DNA tests done for all 4 children. Diana's face drained of color. You had no. Ethan and Lily are my biological children. Noah and Sophie are not. The silence lasted maybe 5 seconds. It felt like an hour. Noah, my 8-year-old, looked at me with confusion. What does that mean? It means your biological father is someone else, buddy. A man named Nathan Mercer. Sophie didn't understand. She was looking at Diana, then at me, then at Ethan, trying to read their faces. Lily started crying. Ethan stared at his mother. How could you? Diana stood up, trembling. You had no right to do this. They're children, Marcus. And they're not mine. You let me raise another man's kids for 8 years while you and Nathan planned to steal my company. How long were you going to keep lying? You're the one who lied. Diana's voice rose to a scream. 22 years of pretending to be some ordinary cook. You lied to me, to the kids, to everyone. I lied about money. You lied about our children. Noah started crying. Not loud, not dramatic. Just quiet tears rolling down his face. So you're not my real dad? I knelt in front of him. Listen to me, Noah. I changed your diapers. I taught you to ride a bike. I sat with you every night when you were afraid of thunderstorms. DNA is just science. Being your father is a choice I made every single day, and nothing changes that. Not a test result. Not anything. He threw his arms around my neck and held on. Sophie joined, not fully understanding but sensing that holding on was the right thing to do. I held them both and felt my heart break and heal at the same time. Over the next 2 weeks, I filed a formal complaint with the district attorney's office, presented the evidence of embezzlement, wire fraud, and conspiracy. The DA assigned a prosecutor immediately. The amounts were significant enough, and the documentation thorough enough, that they moved fast. Nathan's attorney contacted me first. My client wants to cooperate. We met at a diner off Highway 183. Nathan looked like he'd aged 10 years in a month. Gaunt, unshaven, hands shaking around his coffee mug. Diana's planning to claim you were abusive, he said without preamble. Financially controlling, emotionally manipulative. She's got colleagues lined up to testify you seemed domineering. A therapist she saw twice will say she showed signs of coercive control. That's absurd. Doesn't matter if it's true. Matters if a jury believes it. And Diana is very convincing. Why are you telling me this? Because the moment things fell apart, she turned on me. Told the prosecutor I coerced her into the embezzlement. That I manipulated her into the affair. She's positioning herself as a victim, Marcus, and she's throwing me under the bus to do it. He slid a hard drive across the table. Everything. Account numbers, transaction records, emails, text messages. 12 years of communications. Her plans for the restructuring. All of it. Did you know about Noah and Sophie being yours? Nathan stared at his coffee. She told me when Sophie was born. Said we needed to be careful. That if you ever found out, the whole thing would collapse. She promised me that once they had enough control of the company, we'd be together openly. The kids would know the truth. You were going to take my children. I was going to be honest with them about who I was. That's what I told myself, anyway. But honestly, Diana ran everything. The money, the plan, the lies. I just went along with it because I thought I was in love. The money. Where is it now? Offshore accounts. Diana controls all of them. She cut me out completely after the grand opening. I took the hard drive. This doesn't make us even, Nathan. Not even close. I know. I left him there, alone with his mistakes. My legal team filed motions to freeze Diana's accounts the next morning. Every dollar she'd stolen, locked. She called me shrieking, "You can't do this. That money is mine. That money is stolen. And now it's evidence. Get a good lawyer, Diana." The trial began 5 months later. Noah had started seeing a therapist by then. So had Sophie. They were both doing better, slowly learning that none of this was their fault. Ethan had become the steady center of the family, mature beyond his years. Lily was still angry, but her anger had shifted from me to Diana, which was its own kind of heartbreak. The prosecution's case was methodical. Bank records, email chains, the offshore accounts, testimony from forensic accountants who traced every dollar. Diana's defense attorney tried to paint me as a controlling manipulator who'd driven his wife into the arms of another man. Called colleagues who said I seemed distant. Presented the therapist who diagnosed indicators of emotional abuse based on 2 sessions. Then the prosecution called Noah. My 8-year-old son walked to the witness stand with his chin up. Diana's lawyer treated him gently, asked easy questions about family dinners and bedtime routines. Then the prosecutor asked, Noah, before the grand opening party, did you know Nathan Mercer? Yes, Noah said clearly. He came to our house sometimes when Dad was at the restaurant. Mom said he was from work. Did you ever see anything that confused you? Noah hesitated. One time I came downstairs for water, and they were on the couch together. Like, close together. Mom saw me and said Nathan was just tired, and she was helping him rest. I knew that wasn't true, but I didn't say anything. Why not? Because Mom told me later that grown-ups sometimes have complicated friendships, and if I told Dad, it would make him sad, and our family would break apart. She said it would be my fault. The courtroom was silent. The jury wasn't looking at Diana with sympathy. They were looking at her with revulsion. She told an 8-year-old that his family breaking apart would be his fault, the prosecutor confirmed. She told me when I was 6. I kept the secret for 2 years. The verdict came back in 3 days. Diana was found guilty of embezzlement and fraud. Sentenced to 5 years. Eligible for parole in 3 with full restitution. Nathan received 4 years. The divorce settlement gave me full custody of all 4 children. Diana got supervised visitation once she completed her sentence and a mandatory parenting course. She kept her personal savings and her car. I kept everything else. Walking out of the courthouse, Ethan drove us home. He'd gotten his license 2 months earlier. Lily, Noah, and Sophie were in the back seat. Nobody talked for the first few minutes. Then Sophie said, "Can we get ice cream?" And just like that, something shifted. We stopped at a place off the highway. All 5 of us crowded into a booth, arguing about toppings and stealing bites from each other's bowls. Normal. Beautifully, painfully normal. That night, after the kids went to bed, James and Sarah came over. We sat on the back porch drinking beer and not saying much. "You survived," James said. "Barely. What comes next?" "Honesty. Just being myself. No more secrets, no more hiding." 14 months after the grand opening, I stood in the new Cole Hospitality headquarters in Austin. We'd moved the main operations from Cedar Park. New building, open floor plan, room to grow. Marco Rees was there, now vice president of operations. After the trial, he'd come to me, apologized for his role in Diana's schemes, and asked for a chance to earn my trust. He'd done exactly that. "The new training kitchen is running at full capacity," Marco said, showing me around. "We've got 32 culinary students in the current cohort." The training program was my idea. Free culinary education for people who couldn't afford traditional schooling. Single parents, veterans, people starting over. We'd graduated our first class 6 months ago, and every single one of them had a job. "Diana's out next month," Marco said quietly. "Early release." She asked if the kids would visit. "What did they say?" Ethan and Lily said maybe. Eventually. Noah said not yet. Sophie asked me if her mom was sorry. "What did you tell her?" I told her that was a question only her mom could answer. My phone buzzed. A text from Lily. "Dad. Ethan got his acceptance letter. UT Austin. Business program. He's pretending to be cool about it, but he's literally jumping around the living room." I smiled. Ethan wanted to study hospitality management. Said he wanted to work at Cole someday, earn it from the bottom up. Lily was talking about pre-law, said someone in this family should know what they're doing in a courtroom. Noah had joined a baseball team and discovered he had a wicked fastball. Sophie was in 2nd grade and had started writing stories, little tales about families who kept secrets and then told the truth, and everything turned out okay. They were healing. We all were. Slowly, imperfectly, but genuinely. I drove home that evening to the new house. 4 bedrooms, a yard with a treehouse, close to the kids' schools. No ghosts of Diana's betrayal in the walls. Just ours. The kids were in the kitchen when I walked in, crowded around Ethan's acceptance letter, talking over each other about college and dorm rooms and whether Austin was far enough away or too close. "We're making tacos to celebrate," Noah announced. Ethan's choice. I'm making the tacos, Ethan corrected. You're watching and learning. Same thing, Sophie said with a grin. We cooked together, ate together, laughed about nothing important, argued about which movie to watch. Regular family chaos, the kind that used to feel ordinary and now felt like something I'd fight to protect with everything I had. After dinner, Ethan found me in my study. Dad, thank you. For what? For telling the truth. Even when it blew everything up. Even when it would have been easier to keep pretending. It wouldn't have been easier. Just slower. I know. That's why I'm thanking you. He paused. I want to be like you, Dad. Not the money part. The part where you build something real and stand behind it. You already are, kid. Later that night, after the house was quiet, I sat at my desk and looked at the framed photos on the wall. My grandfather in his first restaurant kitchen. James and Sarah at their wedding. My 4 kids on last summer's camping trip, sunburned and laughing. Pictures of a life that was messy and broken and rebuilt and real. My phone buzzed one last time. An email from the Austin Community Literacy Center. Mr. Cole, we heard about your culinary training program. Would you be interested in partnering with us? We serve adult learners, mostly immigrants working towards citizenship. Many of them dream of working in food service but can't access formal training. We think your program could change their lives. I typed back without hesitating. Absolutely. When do we start? Because that's who I am. Not the secret billionaire. Not the betrayed husband. Just Marcus Cole, a man who started with a food truck and learned the hard way that the only thing worth building is something honest. The secrets are finished, the lies are done. And for the first time in 22 years, I can finally breathe.